Donald Trump was having a meltdown all last night as a barrage of catastrophic news is crushing his regime and, frankly, crushing the United States right now and the entire world. Donald Trump got news of his economic calamities. We saw job losses last month of over 92,000 jobs when there was an expectation that 54,000 jobs would be created. The price of oil continues to surge towards that awful $100 per barrel number, or right around $94, $95 per barrel. The market is crashing. We're learning about American weapons systems in the Middle East, our THAAD systems that intercept those ballistic missiles and Shahed drones from Iran. Those are being destroyed by those Shahed drones. Those cost like $1 billion to make. 4 of our THAAD systems have been destroyed. We're also learning more about Russia and China's involvement in the war right now and their support of Iran, providing logistical support, providing supplies, providing coordinates of where American assets, American military interests are located. That's also been helping Iran to strike these military assets. And then we're learning more about just America's horrific planning here. I mean, our strategic reserves are not filled. I mean, going into a war against Iran and not having your strategic oil reserves replenished when you could have purchased those or replenished those strategic reserves when the price of oil was so low. And weren't you bragging about going into Venezuela for the purpose of taking their oil? But no, you tried to personally profit and send the money to Qatar. I mean, the entire war in Venezuela was atrocious to begin with. Let's be very clear about that. Replacing Maduro with another version of Maduro, perhaps a worse version of Maduro, Delcy Rodriguez, but not replenishing our strategic reserves when we need them more than ever right now. The State Department not being able to notify Americans in the Middle East about evacuation plans. So there's utter chaos right there. And look, I know that the Trump regime wants to say, oh, well, we don't care about Iran being helped out by China or Russia or any foreign interests because we're decimating them. We're decimating Iran. So we don't even worry about those things. Let's be very clear. Right now, Iran continues to hit targets of their Arab neighbors where there are American interests. Right now, Iran is putting out statements that, if the United States wants to do a ground invasion, they are ready and prepared and have been waiting on this with their Mosaic defense systems right there. We're hearing that Donald Trump privately has been telling people he wants American boots on the ground. We know the 82nd Airborne Division was supposed to be having these training sessions, big training sessions taking place. Those were canceled. So many suspect the 82nd Airborne is perhaps preparing some of those troops to be on the ground. This follows Donald Trump saying that the Kurds were going to be helping the United States and being the invading ground force. And the Kurds like, we ain't doing that. Trump's betrayed us in Syria. Trump betrayed us during his first regime. So we ain't helping you there at all. But Donald Trump not ruling out ground troops. We can go through some of this one by one, but Donald Trump is having this meltdown. I mean, look what he's posting on social media. This is an actual graphic from the White House. It's a photo of Trump looking tired and lethargic and sickly, and it says, unlimited supply of munitions. What do you mean unlimited supply of munitions? You think we're that stupid? America doesn't have it. No one has unlimited supply of munitions. And if you were so confident in an unlimited supply of munitions, then why are you going to pillage more money from the taxpayers right now to the tune of a $50 billion or more military supplemental because you don't have the munitions? And rather than allow we, the people, to have our health care and to afford homes and to have good education and to have jobs with dignity and to take care of the things that Americans care about, no, you're doing another $50 billion munitions package. Are you kidding me? But Donald Trump says, we just concluded a very good meeting with the largest U.S. defense manufacturing companies where we discussed production and production schedules. I don't know, maybe instead of saying that, you can say, here's my plan to give the American people healthcare. Here's my plan to make things more affordable. That's not what he says. Donald Trump says they, the defense manufacturers, have agreed to quadruple production of the exquisite class of weaponry in that we want to reach as rapidly as possible the highest levels and quantity. We have a virtually unlimited supply of medium and upper grade munitions, which we are using as an example in Iran and recently in Venezuela. Then Donald Trump randomly posts a photo of himself with the U.S. hockey team. And by the way, this is what I warn that U.S. hockey team. Don't go and say, oh, there's nothing political about going to the White House. We're not doing a political thing. He's going to use you for propaganda to continue unlawful wars. Yeah, so you want to take a look, hockey team, at the children's elementary or the elementary school that Donald Trump bombed in Iran and killed over 150 children, little girls who have been killed. We have images of them right now. And the Trump regime tried to cover up that they did it, but you can obviously see the craters in all of the surrounding areas that clearly come from the exquisite class of the United States weapons, right, Donald? So the Trump regime was trying to cover up. The satellite photos show clearly the U.S. was involved in that. Donald Trump continues to cover up child sex trafficking rings while he kills little girls also in Iran at the elementary school. But there you go, the men's gold team. You ain't being political by going. I'm being sarcastic, of course. He's using you for propaganda to fuel all of that. Speaking of propaganda, Donald Trump continued to use the White House account to post videos like this. Pure American dominance, and Donald Trump would mix baseball, Major League Baseball footage with war footage of Iran. Then he would do Grand Theft Auto footage of people getting killed in Iran. Operation Epic Fury. Why are you doing Grand Theft Auto images? Then they're posting NFL images, touchdown. And then they're comparing touchdowns to bombing places in Iran. The White House account says the United States did not start this conflict, but we will finish it. Objectively, you started the conflict. There was a mediation, and as Marco Rubio said, what happened was Israel said they were going to attack Iran, and so the Trump regime said, well, if Israel attacks Iran, then Iran's going to attack the United States in retaliation, so we need to attack Iran first. Then Donald Trump's communications director, Stephen Chung, a very weird dude in every respect, he goes L1, R1, square, R1 left, R2, R1 left, square, down, L1, L1, which is the infinite ammo cheat code for in Grand Theft Auto. So that's, they think this is funny. They think this is a game. As American troops have been killed, as many Americans have been seriously wounded, they think this is a game. You know what's, while he's doing L1, R1, L1, R1, you know what's actually happening right now as well? The largest U.S. military hospital abroad has halted its labor delivery services amid Iran war as they prepare for potential mass casualties of United States troops in the next phase of this war. So yet again, women are the one who are attacked by this Trump regime. The little girls in Iran, the women who are at the labor delivery services center at this base right here at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Europe. Here's the message that you got if you were a spouse, a wife, a partner, you know, a soldier getting labor services. This was the message that you just got this past week. Due to the hospital's primary objective, labor and delivery is closed until further notice. We are doing our utmost to assist you in transferring your labor care to the host nation. At this time, we have no knowledge of the timeline for this and will continue to see you for prenatal appointments until 36 weeks. If you are 30 36 weeks or greater gestation today, please ask us what steps to take now. If you're 36 weeks or later, we are kicking you to the curb and the street. You don't get VA natal care treatment right now because it needs to be used for its primary service, which is dealing with mass casualty events. If that right there doesn't tell you what's expected in the future, I don't know what else does. Also, the United States is preparing a third carrier strike group right now to the Middle East, right? They have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups there. And now the USS George H.W. Bush is going to be out there and moved out there. That will make 3 aircraft carrier groups. So I guess it's all going just swimmingly well right now. While we're going to have 3 aircraft carrier groups out there in the Middle East, U.S. Southern Command says that they are continuing their ground invasion in Ecuador right now. The general of Southcom, the Southcom commander, General Donovan, says, I congratulate our joint forces and the Ecuadorian armed forces for successful operations against narco-terrorists in Ecuador, inside Ecuador. And you know, when the Trump regime has called those fishing boats outside of Venezuelan narco-terrorists and has killed hundreds of people, well, now we're doing that on land through a ground invasion or a ground attack. Call it what you want. Inside Ecuador, Donald Trump has a MAGA puppet leader in Ecuador whose family is a very kind of wealthy Trumpy family in the Ecuador that lots of people make accusations against with very bad conduct. And so Trump is working with this guy, this Nepo guy in Ecuador, who's their leader, Noboa, now doing ground invasions right there. But look, the targeting of American interests in the Middle East doesn't stop. We have photos by Iran. And by the way, America and Israel, they are hitting Iran very, very hard. I mean, you're seeing massive strikes within Tehran and lots of cities, but it's not breaking Iran. It's actually further radicalizing the people in Iran against the United States and people who may have actually been sympathetic to trying to overthrow the Ayatollah are now being increasingly radicalized to support the new Ayatollah and the Iranian regime against the United States. This is backfiring in Donald Trump's face. You look at what's happening, again, with these retaliatory strikes by Iran against American interests in the region. I talked about those 4 THAAD units, the interceptors. 4 of them destroyed, each cost $1 billion, devastating right there. That's your taxpayer dollars that could have actually provided health care to hundreds of thousands or potentially millions of people. Iran hit an American Patriot missile site in the UAE. This is what it looked like right there. Hat tip to Drop Site for their great work in getting this. Al Jazeera reports fire at the offices and warehouses of the American companies Halliburton and KBR following a drone attack in Basra in Iraq. And when the foreign minister, Araghchi of Iran, was asked about whether or not they are getting support from China and Russia, he's like, yeah, what do you think? I'm not going to tell you what they're doing, but they're our allies. Let's play this clip.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Are they supporting you militarily?
Well, military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not a secret. You know, we have worked with each other in the past, and that has continued. And will continue. I guess.
And they are actively helping you in this war?
Well, they are. They have always helped us.
So I'm gonna understand that to mean yes, that they are actively assisting you in this war.
Well, I'm not going to give the details of our cooperation with other countries right in the middle of the war.
So do you all see what's happening? The world is at war. Whether you call it a world war, the world is at war, right? You have the Trump regime in this war with Israel. against Iran, Iran striking the neighboring countries where there are American interests. You have Russia and you have China who are helping Iran. You have NATO not really wanting to do much greater action to help Trump because Trump's been undermining NATO. I mean, you do have the UK patrolling Cyprus because they have air bases there. You have France patrolling kind of the Abu Dhabi area where it has interest, the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier nearby. But essentially, you know, and then don't get me, you also have Afghanistan and Pakistan at war. You have U.S. ground forces in Ecuador. You have Russia's invasion of Ukraine offering to support Donald Trump because Ukraine knows how to shoot down the Shahid drones because they have a great deal of experience at that. But then Donald Trump continues to attack Ukraine, even though Zelensky's been trying to help the Trump regime. So yes, the United States is turning to Ukraine for drone defense expertise, but then, and saying, Zelensky, we need your help. But then Donald Trump is helping Putin out by removing sanctions against Putin and bragging about it. You have Donald Trump's energy secretary right here talking about that. Let's play this clip.
Floating Russian oil storage that's around Southern Asia. It's China just backed up. China does not treat their suppliers well. So there's a bunch of floating barrels just sitting there. We've reached out to our friends in India and said, buy that oil, bring it into your refineries. That pulls stored oil immediately into Indian refineries and releases the pressure on other refineries around the world to buy oil that they're no longer competing with the Indians for in that marketplace. So we have a number of measures like that that are short-term and temporary. This is no change in policy towards Russia. This is a very brief change in policy just to keep oil prices down a little bit better than we could otherwise.
You have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent then saying we may unsanction other Russian oil after unsanctioning Russian oil to be sold to India, which now, because the price of oil is so high, Russia's going to make massive amounts of money. Russia's got a complete bailout by the U.S. doing this, and Russia's going to use that money to attack Ukraine, that the Trump regime is asking for help to stop the Shahid drones in Iran, while then Russia uses its funds to also help Iran against the United States because the Trump regime is utterly idiotic. I showed you that clip, right, of Treasury Secretary Bessent.
The Indians had been very good actors. We had asked them to stop buying sanctioned Russian oil this fall. They did. They were going to substitute it with U.S. oil, but to ease the temporary gap of oil around the world, we have given them permission to accept the Russian oil. We may unsanction other Russian oil. You know, the other thing Treasury can do here, Larry, is there are hundreds of millions of sanctioned barrels of sanctioned crude on the water. And in essence, by unsanctioning them, Treasury can create supply. And you know, we are looking at that. We're going to keep a cadence of announcing measures to bring relief to the market during this conflict. And
next, you had Donald Trump holding that bizarre press conference yesterday, not to address the war against Iran, but to talk about why college athletes should not be paid money by colleges for their name, image, and likeness rights, despite a Supreme Court ruling in 2021 called Alston. I teach about that actually in law school, so I know the case very well. It was a 9-0 decision, by the way, 9-0, saying that athletes could sue for antitrust violations by the NCAA. But Trump held a press conference today attacking the Supreme Court on that sports ruling. So Peter Doocy, to his credit on Fox, asked Donald Trump, it sounds like the Russians are helping Iran. You care to tell us what you know about the Russians and the Chinese helping Iran? And Donald Trump's like, that's a stupid question. Here, play this clip.
Thank you, President Trump. It sounds like the Russians are helping Iran target and attack Americans now.
That's an easy problem compared to what we're doing here. But can I be honest? It's just, I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been very nice to me. What a stupid question that is to be asking at this time. We're talking about something else. Can we keep this maybe a little bit Go ahead, please.
All right. Well, Donald Trump doesn't want to answer it. What about you, Caroline Levitt?
I wanted to start you off this afternoon because we have confirmed reports from U.S. officials that Russia is providing intelligence to Iran to help it target U.S. assets in the region. I'm sure this is something that does not please the president whatsoever. Has he spoken to Putin about it?
Well, look, I'll leave that to the president to answer himself. But what I will tell you, John, we don't comment on intelligence reports that are leaked to the press. Whether or not this happened, frankly, it does not really matter because President Trump and the United States military are absolutely decimating the rogue Iranian terrorist regime.
Okay, well, that's a horrific answer by Caroline Levitt. Whether or not this happened, it doesn't really matter. Okay, well, what about Pete Hegseth? Hegseth was asked about Russia helping Iran, and he goes, we're not concerned about that. Why would you not be concerned about that? Here, play this clip.
Does this put U.S. personnel in any more danger than they otherwise would be?
Well,
the Russian involvement.
No one's putting us in danger. We're putting the other guys in danger. That's our job. So we're not concerned about that. We mitigate it as we need to. Our commanders factor all of this, but the only ones that need to be worried right now are Iranians that think they're going to live.
And then Caroline Levitt, in a press conference that she held outside the White House, says that she still has a great deal of confidence in Iran. A great deal of confidence despite what's going on in Iran. She has a great deal of confidence of Russia wanting to enter into a peace deal with Ukraine. She goes, I think that Putin wants to do that. I mean, are these people just pro-Russian, Paul, what the hell's going on here? Here, play this clip.
Has the president's faith in Russia to cut a peace deal with Ukraine been shaken by the knowledge that Russia is apparently supplying intelligence to Iran in this conflict?
I think the president would say that peace is still an achievable objective with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war.
There you have it, folks. That's your update right now of everything going on this far. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.